Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina and I make videos about living in this tiny house on wheels and living a more intentional life. I have a big move coming up. Now, I haven't talked much about it on the channel because the first time I thought I had a spot for the tiny house to move to on Vancouver Island, it fell through. But I do have a spot. I'm flying down there next weekend to have a look at it and talk to the owners about how the spot should be set up, how the parking pad needs to be set up and things like that. And I will talk more about it. I'll obviously be videoing while I'm down there. I'm just not quite ready to do it just yet. I just want to confirm everything before I go through the process of announcing that I have a spot yet again. However, what that means is that I have a lot of things to organize, a lot of things to get ready in a very short period of time, 2 months. For all intents and purposes. So today I wanted to talk about sort of how I stay organized, my strategy about staying organized and prioritizing in particular, both at work and in my personal life, and now with this big project, the move to Vancouver Island this summer. I just wanted to share that with you today in the hopes that maybe it helps somebody. And also, maybe you'll be able to share some of the strategies that you use that will help all of us to become better organized and prioritize just a little bit better. So the first thing I want to share with you is this grid. Now, I saw this years and years ago, and I don't know where I saw it, to be perfectly honest. And I've sort of tweaked it a bit to fit how I do things. But it's basically, I'll put it on the screen. It's a square with 4 squares inside it, and this is basically how I decide how to prioritize things. So the first square is important and urgent. So these are things that have to get done, but also need to be done fairly quickly. So in that box is where I'll list those things, the urgent things, the things that are not just important, but also need to be done right away by me. The second category, the second box, are important, not urgent, that I need to do. So in that box, I'll put things that I can't delegate, that I can't outsource, that have to be done by me and are important, but are not urgent, immediate sort of priorities. And in that box, I will list them by the date or time frame that they need to be done. Then the third box are important, not urgent, that I can outsource or delegate. I'm a big believer in focusing on the things that you have to do, that only you can do, and letting go of some of the things that somebody else can do, that you can delegate or hire somebody to do if you can afford it. There'll be things that are important, but that aren't worth me taking time away from something in one of the other 2 boxes. That can be done by somebody else as long as I let go control. And that was a difficult one because I am a recovering control freak. I think that's the Virgo in me. I like to always know that things are done right. But once you train yourself to let that go, that's the area that you'll put those, that's the box that you'll put those things in, the things that are important, but that you can find somebody you trust or hire somebody you trust to do them for you. And then the fourth box are things that are not important and not urgent. Those are the things that you leave until the very last. The things that, if possible, preferably, you just let go altogether because they're not urgent and they are not important. They may be things that you kind of want to do or you feel like you should do. Is it important? Is it urgent? Should I just let it go? When all 3 other boxes are taken care of, if you still have time, if you still have capacity, then you can do those things, but they are not a priority. So those are the 4 quadrants that I think of things in, and the priority being, of course, the urgent and important ones that have to be done right away. Then I just list them in the order of when they need to be done in each of those boxes. And for me, I find that especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, do I do a box for every day or every week? No. But when I am feeling a little overwhelmed, or when I have a big project like a move coming up, or even when I sold my townhouse to build this house and then I was planning the move out of there and into here, I very much did this because I found that it really helped me stay focused and on the things that I had to do. So that top row are the things that I have to do. It's easy to sort of figure out which ones you can delegate once you start getting used to doing that. And then the fourth category you get really good at as well, because you know where your time needs to be spent. And for me, that really helped me focus my energy and focus my time, stay on track, and not get lost in the minutia of the things that really aren't important and really aren't urgent. It will help you, or at least it helps me, to focus my time and plan out a project. So along with that grid, I also have some other sort of ways that I approach things. I think that it's important to be happy with how you spend your time, to not feel like you have to always be doing something that is considered productive, because that will drain you and that will wear you out. And so I think it's important to be happy with how you spend your time. I also think it's really important to leave empty spaces in your calendar and have days, weekends that you do nothing, and consider that time well spent. I think in the society we're sort of taught that if you're doing nothing, then you are wasting your time, and that is time that you'll never get back. And I prefer to reframe that and say that the times that I'm doing nothing, I'm actually doing something. I'm doing self-care. I'm doing recharging, re-energizing, recharging my battery, like we talked about last Sunday in the introvert discussion. But it's really important to have those times as well. You cannot just go, 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 because you will burn yourself out, or at least I will burn myself out. So I have to choose to be happy with how I spend my time. Make sure that I'm allowing myself the times of doing nothing, because that's actually doing something that's really important. I think it's important to not obsess about the past, the time that you have spent, because you can't change it. So today we may prefer to have spent the time in the past in a very different way, our youth, whatever, but you can't change it. Obsessing about it is absolutely pointless. I mean, intellectually we know that, but we still emotionally do it. I really try, and I don't always succeed, to not obsess about what's back there, because then what it does is it prevents us from having all the focus that we need on what's out front. Obsessing on your past is like driving 100 kilometers an hour down a highway, but only looking out the back window. You're not going to get where you want to go. And you may end up in a place you really don't want to be, because you're focused on where you already were. I try not to fixate on the mistakes that I've made in the past, the time that I didn't spend as productively as I wish I had now, because I did the best I could back then. And that's sort of the point that I want to make, is that you did the best you could for where you were in the past, and now you get to choose what you're going to do for the time in the present and in the future, and that is much more productive. I used to be so worried, focused, almost obsessed on what other people thought of me. This was before I had kids in particular. Once I had children, that sort of started to pass. But I really used to worry about what other people thought about what I was doing, the decisions I was making, how I was spending my time, all of those things. And then one day I realized nobody was thinking about me. They were too busy, in general, being worried about what I was thinking about them. And that was like, wow, that realization that my insecurity other people had as well. And we were also internalizing this concern about what other people thought of us and our decisions and how we spent our time. And that was ridiculous, because they weren't. In general, very rarely is anybody really judging and watching every little thing that you do. So keeping that in mind, is really kind of a game changer. And it's something that I've told my kids. Make your decisions for yourself and not for somebody else. Choose how you spend your time for your best outcome and to move your life forward in the direction that you want it to go, not because somebody else wants you to do it or they want you to go in a direction that they think you should. That was pretty cool. That was pretty life-changing. I really have to say, it's such a small thing, but for somebody who spent way too much of her time worried about what other people were thinking about her, realizing that nobody was thinking about what I was doing was actually mind-blowing. When I'm talking to my kids and they're worried about their future, it's very easy for me to remember when I was that age, or trying to figure out what I wanted, and for a long time I just sort of let life carry me along. I did what I thought other people expected from me. I sort of took whatever opportunity sort of fell in my lap. I wasn't very intentional about how I moved through the world, and certainly not intentional about how I planned my life. And I have very much changed that as I've gotten older. Maturity really is a great educator. But what I have found really is effective for me is that I sort of decide where I want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I imagined the life that I wanted. And then I just tried to reverse engineer it. So if I wanted to live in a tiny house and be out on Vancouver Island and be growing my own vegetables and getting towards a more sustainable, self-sufficient, off-grid kind of existence, what would that mean? Because I could visualize that, I could then do the research to reverse engineer what would I need to do in order to be able to do that. What would I need to do for work? I knew I needed to be a teleworker, or at least have the ability to move to a different province and keep my job versus starting over brand new. I knew I needed to save up some money to be able to build the tiny house. There was just steps that I needed to do, but because I knew where I wanted to go, I could then reverse engineer back to where I was. With 2 kids, still at home, in a job that wouldn't allow me to do that, and with a lot of debt, no money saved up in order to build a tiny house, and not even knowing how to go about it. That's how I approach the plan to move. Is I know where I want to be and everything that I need when I'm there, so then I can then reverse engineer, okay, what do I need to have set up? When do I need to have it set up? I put it into those 4 boxes and away I go. It's a way to visually, because I actually do this on paper, it allows me to visually see everything that I need to do and the timeline that I need to do it in, so that I can get to where I want to go. Now, do I always end up in the spot that I originally envisioned? No, because life isn't like that. Life is not a straight line. If any of you have gone in a straight line your whole life, I admire you. I don't know what planet you're from, but I'd love to visit sometime, because that's impressive. But for the rest of us, mere humans, that's not how life works. Life is very much windy, twisty. That's just how life works. So your plan will evolve, your journey will evolve, and that's okay, because then that end picture will change, and you will then just reverse engineer to that new vision. Decide where you want to be, and it doesn't have to be 20 years. It can be 5 years. But if you know where you're going, then you can plan the route to get there. You can't decide you're driving to Timbuktu and then just get in your car and hope you get there. That's not how it goes. I know that that's a simplistic analogy, but it kind of fits. You have to do a little research. You have to decide what's the best time of year to go there. What roads do I need to go there? Do I need any special equipment on my car, vehicles, things like that? That's reverse engineering. That's how I move through the world. And it has served me well. I've made mistakes, and I've certainly changed course. Sometimes on purpose. Sometimes it happened to me, but it always happened for a reason, and it's brought me to where I am now. So it was always a good thing in the long run. Anyways, that's how I'm planning my move. That's how I'm working through this process. There's a lot to plan, but I've already started and I will be sharing it all. I'll share more about my mover and that process, getting the house ready to move, all of that stuff. I'll film a little bit. No, Sophie, stay out of my closet. Hey, get out of there. Have a closet door open so the light's on. And Sophie loves getting in there and making a nest in my clothes. Sorry. I'll share some video of the spot once I'm there. I just want to have it settled, and then I'll feel more comfortable about sharing the specifics with you. But I will be taking you on this journey because a lot of people ask me about it, and that's what I do here, right? Is just sort of share my big tiny house life with you, the good, the bad. I'm sure that there will be challenges along the way, but everything is figure-outable, as my builder says, and we will get through it. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're staying safe. I love you. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. We need a lot more kindness in this world, and I'll see you next Sunday.